Hello students, these small chips known as integrated circuits or ICs can be seen in all the electronic devices. Today ICs have become key component of electronic equipments. In fact, ICs have revolutionized the world today. From children's electronic toys to robots, ICs are used everywhere. So today I am going to tell you what are integrated circuits, a brief history of ICs, and classification of integrated circuits. Let us understand first what is integrated circuit. Integrated circuit is a miniaturized circuit in which active components and passive components are fabricated on the surface of a thin substrate. Active components correspond to diodes and transistors, and passive components corresponds to capacitors, inductors, and resistors. So all the passive and active components along with their interconnections are fabricated on the surface of a thin substrate. Several advantages of ICs have made them be used in almost all the electronic devices. You know that first programmable electronic computer ENIAC occupied space around 1800 square feet. But now we are using computers in our hands or even in our watches, etc. Advancement in semiconductor technology and invention of integrated circuits have reduced the size of devices dramatically. The cost is also reduced due to simultaneous batch production. These ICs are more reliable, consume less power, have high operating speed, and improved performance. Now I will discuss a brief history of integrated circuits. Students, here is a motivational story for you. During a workshop celebrating 10th anniversary of the invention of the transistor in 1957, Jack Kilby realized that most discrete devices like diodes, transistors, capacitors, resistors could be made of a small piece of semiconductor material like silicon. He therefore thought it would be possible to make them on a same piece of semiconductor substrate and connect them to form a circuit. This would reduce the electronic circuit cost, as well as we will have circuits of much smaller size. In 1958, Kilby joined Texas Instruments to follow his new concept. He was new employee of Texas Instruments. While most of his colleagues took mandatory summer break, he worked to consolidate his concept of an IC in the isolated research and development laboratory. When his colleagues returned from the summer holidays, he proposed his idea and began to execute it. Since silicon substrate was not readily available to him, he used germanium, which was available to him. So it was Kelby who created first prototype IC. He took germanium with one transistor already built onto it and added a capacitor and three resistors made from a germanium bar, and he connected all these five components to fine metal wires. So the first integrated circuit was made by Jack Kilby as shown in this figure. As you can see from this figure, the different components are connected by the fine metal wires. Few months later, in 1959, Robert Noyce of Fairchild Semiconductor employed aluminum patterns to interconnect the different devices, and the devices along with the connections were on the same substrate of silicon. Noyce used silicon instead of germanium, and he applied planar technology, which was developed by his colleague Jean Horney, to create a solid-state transistor with a flat profile. This is first IC made on the silicon wafer by Fairchild Semiconductor International. Noyce chip had the fundamental processing technique of modern IC chips and acted as a model for all future ICs. Earlier ICs like Plessey SL201 or Philips TAA320 had only two transistors. Due to the advancement of the technology in integrated circuits, the number of transistors on an integrated circuit has increased rapidly. In 1965, Gordon Moore, a founder of Intel, observed that the number of transistors on a chip were doubling every 12 months. His observation was immediately termed as Moore's law. Later in 75, he updated this period to 18 months. But over the years, it has been observed that Moore's law has proven very accurate. Recent research published by IC Insight Incorporation on March 5, 2020 showed that the transistor count trends continue to track the Moore's law. The number of transistors on integrated circuits are increasing day by day. iPad Air launched on September 15, 2020 with A14 Bionic chip had 11.8 billion transistors on it. But as a matter of fact, Moore's law cannot go indefinitely into the future. There must be a limit to it, as a 7 nanometer chip has only 35 atoms of silicon. So if you reduce the size to half, that is 3.5 nm, you will have 17 or 18 atoms, silicon atoms. Therefore, you can't keep on reducing the size, as one silicon atom is not enough to form the features of an electronic device. Therefore, there is a limit on the size as well as on the number of transistors on a chip. Now, as the chips are becoming denser, there is a problem which is occurring is heat dissipation. So, the future lies in building smarter systems, not denser chips. Now I will briefly discuss generations of integrated circuits. Initially, only few components were fabricated on the chip, say 2 to 50 components, and this was termed as small scale integration. Logic gates are example of small scale integration or SSI. Medium scale integration corresponds to 50 to 5000 components per chip. Counters and multiplexers are example of this. In large scale integration, we have 5000 to 100,000 components per chip, and RAM, the random access memory, is an example of LSI. Very large scale integration corresponds to 16-bit arithmetic and logic unit, which has 1 million components per chip. Ultra large scale integration has more than 1 million components per chip, and Pentium microprocessor belongs to this category. We also have wafer scale integration, which corresponds to building very large integrated circuit that uses the entire silicon wafer to produce a single super chip. System on a chip in which all the components needed for a computer or other system are included on a single chip. The design of these SoC are complex and in fact costly. We also have three-dimensional integrated circuits or 3D ICs. 3D IC has two or more layers of active electronic components that are integrated both horizontally and vertically into a single circuit. Now coming to the classification of ICs. ICs can be classified on the basis of applications as well as on the basis of fabrication techniques. If we classify ICs on the basis of applications, we have linear ICs and digital ICs. And if we classify ICs according to fabrication, we have monolithic and hybrid ICs. Let us first understand what is meant by linear integrated circuit and digital integrated circuit. A linear integrated circuit is an analog device that operates over a continuous range of input levels. The most commonly used and popular linear IC is operational amplifier IC741. Another ICs in this category are IC723, which is voltage regulator, and IC555, which is timer. A digital IC has finite number of discrete input and output states. That is, we have either high or low state, which is also termed as 1 or 0 level. Examples are logic gates 7400, 7404, multiplexers and microprocessors like 8085 and 8086. The main difference between the linear ICs and digital ICs is that linear ICs in general require more external components as compared to digital ICs. Therefore, linear ICs are more susceptible to external noise. Coming to the classification on the basis of fabrication techniques, integrated circuits are divided into two categories. One is monolithic IC and another is hybrid IC. The hybrid ICs are further divided into two types, thick film ICs and thin film ICs. Let us first understand what is meant by monolithic IC. Monolithic IC has two Greek words, the word monos and the word lithos. These are two Greek words. Monos means single and lithos means stone. So the monolithic ICs are ICs in which the entire circuit is contained in a single piece of semiconductor. In general, the silicon semiconductor is preferred. Insulating layers and metallization patterns are intimately bonded to the surface of the chip. Let us try to understand the basic difference between monolithic and hybrid ICs. In monolithic IC, you have a silicon chip and the connections are on the same silicon substrate. So this is your silicon chip. These are connecting wires. And these are terminals. The difference between monolithic and hybrid IC is that while this monolithic IC is on the same piece of semiconductor material, hybrid ICs are fabricated by interconnecting a number of individual chips, and hybrid ICs have ceramic substrate and which can carry more than one silicon chips, as is clear from the figure. Suppose this is hybrid IC. You can have different chips. These chips are interconnected to each other through connecting wires, and we have terminals. These are chips. Here you can have all the silicon chips. You can have one gallium arsenide chip and other silicon chips, or you can have all the silicon chips or a mix between the different types of chips. These are the connecting wires, and these are terminals. The advantage of monolithic ICs are that these are economical and they have good thermal stability. In the category of hybrid IC, we have thin film IC and thick film IC. These are similar in appearance, but the difference is in the formation of film. In thin film ICs, the film is deposited on an insulating substrate. In monolithic ICs, we had silicon substrate or any other semiconductor substrate, but in hybrid ICs, we have insulating substrate like glass or any ceramic material, and in thin film, the film is deposited on an insulating substrate which is generally by vacuum deposition. Then finer structures are made either through masks or by means of photolithography. In thin film technique, the film is deposited through screen printing. The screen can be either made of silk or stainless steel by selective deposition of a paste or slurry which is known as ink. This table shows a comparison between monolithic thin film and thick film ICs. As it is clear, the monolithic ICs are smallest as compared to thick film and thin film. The package density is high in monolithic ICs, whereas it is medium in thick film and thin film, but the frequency limit is high in thin film while it is medium in thick film and monolithic. Power dissipation in monolithic ICs is low, whereas it is high in thick and thin film. The flexibility in design is less in monolithic ICs, whereas we have more flexibility in case of hybrid ICs. These are the reference books which I have used in making this video. Thank you.